25 members?
Families.
25 families.
25 families.
What's been, if you could speak for the Nigerian Muslims that you represent, what's been their experience since this happened? Have they, in their neighborhoods, in their businesses, in their day-to-day lives, what sort of reaction have they?
This is what we did last week, Sunday, at the Friday. But as far as racial profiling, so far we have not had any report of that. And we thank the people from Detroit, Free Detroit Press. They've been getting in touch with us, asking us different questions that should, in case people experiencing this, we should let them know about that. So we can't allow ourselves that they have not experienced that. But we anticipate that people will react when they know it is automatic. There's no way we can do without that. We have to talk to ourselves that there's no way we can do. This is individual that we don't know. This is individual that doesn't have the same background that we had. Because he wasn't educated within our community that we came out from.
What was your reaction when you found out, you heard about what happened?
Sure.
The fact that the young man who was incarcerated is from Nigeria.
Shock. We wanted to know his background. And we find out that this is not even the guy from our home background. This is, Nigerian is primarily divided into three parts. We have the west, we have the north, we have the east. And this is somebody individual from the northern part of the country. So we were from the western part of the country. But beside that, this individual was not even raised and brought up in Nigeria. He had his education in Togo. So this is, and education matters a lot.
What is
so,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
But his father was a banker in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, in the northern part of the country.
It's very important to reiterate that his father, who is a Muslim, was the one who went to the authorities and actually turned in his own son. And as I've stated before, there's a natural tendency for parents to want to cover up their faults of their children. But this father, who's a Muslim, was so concerned about the rhetoric and the relationships of his son that he's the one that went to the government and turned him in. And this is why we raised the question also of how did this man slip through the cracks and was able to get on the plane and to endanger the lives of so many innocent civilians, many of them Americans, when his own father, who's a Muslim, went to the authorities to turn his own son in. There was a real security and screening breakdown that took place, and we're hopeful that when Congress investigates this, that they'll get to the bottom of it. But it was a breakdown, but it should be noted that his Muslim father was the one that turned him in.
Your statement talks about incidents that took place in Detroit and Arizona on Sunday, in which 3 men were erroneously believed to have been security threats. You're concerned about profiling. Can you be more specific on those incidents? What occurred and what concerns you? Okay, there were 2 incidents this past Sunday. The first incident was a flight that was leaving from Amsterdam to Detroit, similar to the flight on Christmas Day, in which a Nigerian businessman went into the laboratory. He got ill, and he had the door locked, obviously, like any person would do. And because he was in there for such a prolonged period of time, there then began to raise concerns that he was doing something improper in the laboratory when, in fact, he was ill, which then raised him as a potential security threat because he's a West African, he's a Nigerian, and 2 days prior there was a similar situation with the Nigerian. In Arizona, there were 2 Middle Eastern men who were profiled for quote-unquote, talking suspiciously. Their talking suspiciously was they were speaking Arabic. So they were taken off of an airplane in Arizona simply because speaking Arabic. So have we gotten to the point that because we see someone who's an African or someone who's speaking Arabic is automatically looked at as being a potential terrorist? This is un-American, and we understand that there's real fears and concerns in the community in regards to what happened on Christmas Day, but at the same time, we can't be irrational and start to label people as potential extremists or security threats because they're an African or because they speak Arabic or just because they look different.
with all due respect, with the plane that was flying here to Detroit, if that were a Dutch or Danish person who was in that bathroom and had locked themselves in for a while and was ill, I don't think it would have raised as much concern in people's minds if it were a white Christian, but this was a Nigerian guy. I don't even know if the Nigerian was a Christian or a Muslim, but the fact that he was an African in the bathroom for so long raised concerns. So we have real concerns in regards to ethnic profiling.
Sir, where did you meet on Sunday with your congregation? Where did you meet on Sunday with your congregation?
At the Masajid, it's on 6 Mile, west of Sheba.
And what are some of the things you told them in terms of how to handle some of the...
Well, we went to the Quran, we denounced it, we preached to ourselves that Quran doesn't preach violence other than peace. And in a situation like this, people will come, different attack will come, so we should be patient and see through it. There is always going to be wisdom for anything that comes to any human being. So this is the center of the topic as of now.
What are some of the questions you told them to expect? Some of the questions you told them to expect from people?
Well, people will ask why do you do this? Sometimes we be mocked. This is your brother again, like just what happened second day or Sunday. So how people will take that if they are not patient enough, it's difficult to bear. But sometimes when people just attack you with what you're not feeling happy with, as a human being you want to react sometimes. But you should remember, patience is the key to everything. People will come to understand and be able to distinguish from what is right and from what is wrong.
Imam, you talked about the gentleman, the accused bomber being raised outside of Nigeria, but do you, all of you, have any concerns about, what you would refer to call irhab, about this sort of growing concern that Muslims who are raised, and you all as American Muslims, outside of the Muslim world are becoming increasingly interested in terrorism?
Well, if I can speak on that, we do have concerns that uneducated Muslims or Muslims, and we believe it's a minuscule percentage, but nonetheless that there are some Muslims, because out of anxieties or grievances about different issues going on in the Muslim world, that they can be tempted or enticed primarily over the internet, not in the mosque. Overwhelmingly throughout the Muslim world, the imams preach balanced Islam and preach being a good citizen and being peaceful and being productive in your society. But it's the internet, and there are people on the internet who pass themselves off as scholars. They speak very eloquently. They have the look. They have on a turban and they have a big beard, and they quote a lot of verses and sayings in Arabic, and uneducated people take these things off of emotions. And sometimes they're off of real grievances, but the person who appeals to them gets them to, or incites them to answer these grievances in an illegitimate way. For example, Al Jazeera reported last week that a preacher named Anwar al-Alabi, who's an American who lives in Yemen, basically was talking to Nadal Hassan, basically giving him the okay to do what he did in Fort Hood. And there are some allegations that this young Nigerian man had communications with similar type people in Yemen. This is done over primarily incitement over the internet, and these aren't scholars who are doing this. So we encourage the Muslim youth, no matter where they are, to get their Islamic knowledge from the authentic, educated Islamic scholars, and not to be enticed by going over the internet or going on some of these websites, getting people to giving speeches, making them angry by showing pictures of dead babies in Yemen that have been killed by military forces, or in Afghanistan, Iraq, and these types of situations.
Well, all of the reporting that we've seen since Christmas Day is that the suspect has told the authorities that he was trained by Al-Qaeda in Yemen, and he's even gone as far to say that there were 20 other young men like him in training who could be carrying on similar missions. And it's been widely reported that Yemen has become a new breeding ground for Al-Qaeda.